there's still no hope for you. You've given up. You want to talk NFLPA. You want to talk about how the Bills rank in dining?
You can
instead of the Sabres.
I don't know. I am trying. I am trying. I liked Paul's layout of the Lindy framework, the Lindy plan.
Yesterday?
Yeah, during pregame.
It was a nice, spirited conversation.
Five game increments, 7 out of 10 points, 3-1-1. Like, we do that, we can get there. Like, we'll give ourselves a chance if we can get there. You know, I don't know why you got to settle for, losing 2 out of every 5 games, but, okay.
Or 1.5.
Sure, to be more fair, sure.
I thought it was supposed to be one game at a time.
Right? Yeah, I don't know.
No, but why I like it, if I may, is, and this would be, useful for fans, and that's maybe why you like it. Sort of it lays it out for fans that it's not as remote a possibility as you might think. The funny thing about 1%, which is where we've been, 1% during that break to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
The graphics, the asteroid.
Better chance of asteroid crashing into Earth.
The thing about 1% is it's not 0. And was it 2011, the year they made it last? Or the 1 year, a couple of years later, where they were also way back and they got there, they won a game in Washington and they got there and they fell back again.
I think that was the following year. I think that was the year after they had that incredible stretch run.
Well, it certainly was like pre-Reinhardt, which was 14, so it had to be before, whatever.
Yeah.
But 1% is not 0, which is not to represent false hope. It's just to say 99% is not 100,
right,
and 1% is not 0. So, you keep playing, and that sort of 5-game breakdown, analysis, I guess, might be helpful to players.
You asking me that yesterday, maybe more than once, and again now at the outset today, you asking me that question had an impact on me. Because I feel like of the two of us, for many of these seasons, you've been way more at our, like I'm
so done.
And I'm not bragging here. I mean, I watch. This year there have been stretches, I'll admit, over the holidays I was off, and I didn't miss them while I was gone. I didn't feel compelled to be in front of the TV every night recreationally. I didn't need to know what happened to talk about it if there would be anything worth talking about on the show. So I just sort of let them be over there. And when that happens to me, that's happened a couple other times, much earlier in the drought. I can remember talking about being at Holiday Twin Rinks for a Regals practice and just not caring about the Sabres game on the giant TV in the lobby there because I'm just dead inside, kind of.
That happened to me like a month ago, by the way. Jersey.
But when you ask me that, I think like, what are should there be? Should I? All right. I wanted to watch that game last night. I loved how they played great in the first period and got a 5-on-3 goal against, and then weren't very good in the second. But I stayed in there. Like, you want to get me back? Right? You want me to be paying attention to you? Beat Anaheim, okay? And they managed to get there. They played a great third period. So I don't know. I guess I can't say I'm ambivalent about it because I cared about them coming back last night. I don't just tweet garage however many times in a row that is in a close game at the end with the Sabres leading.
But you don't know how many times it is?
I don't know.
Is that a copy paste?
It is, but I've never counted. I have never counted.
All right.
I did it one time.
14.
And I
want to say 14.
Okay. The guy really want them to win the game because, the only way you're going to get there is to win a bunch in a row here or, go 3-1-1 6 times or 5 times or whatever.
And then win the last 3
right.
to get to 90, which is maybe.
Right. So, as long as you can keep me, stay out of the ditch here with losing streaks, and we'll see how the 3-1-1 thing goes. I cared enough to notice today, a lot of games last night, went through and like, oh, great, Detroit won. Oh, great. Columbus won. Oh, great. The Rangers won. Oh, great. Like everybody won.
I made a note a half an hour ago after what this all was yesterday that guess who told me today what happened in the rest of the Eastern Conference. So you're not totally dead.
Right.
To be redundant. Dead is totally dead. Dead. You're not dead.
That is not looking.
They're not dead.
That is not looking at the other scores.
It is a long time ago, and it might sound ridiculous, but I think it's okay to have hope, even if it does. And last night, the whole game reminded me of 2011 when Pagula bought the team, and they were dead like this. I remember one day, 14 years ago, sitting in here. No cameras then. Cameras had not been invented back then on radio. But just railing on Jochen Hest for a bad effort in Calgary. Like, this thing is it's Lindy's the coach, and it was just, they had the fluke year in 10, I would call it. 2 prior years where they missed. Then you have the Drury-Briere debacle and everything from their ancient past now. In 11, they trudged through 50-some games and were nowhere. The sale happens, I don't know, kind of right around now. Mm-hmm. And they just won all the time. And I think of Vanek the most. He's the guy I think of for that.
Yeah.
Because Vanek, there were a couple of home games, one against the Lightning, I want to say, where they might have been the better team, but they're down. And last night I thought of this because last night they were always the better team in that game. And they're down 2-0 after 2. And I wanted to it's a feels thing, not a data thing, but I admit, in my mind was the team I want this team to be somehow wins tonight. Even if it's in a shootout. And if it's Vanek going, around the world. Even if it's in a shootout, this team wins tonight. The team I want it to be to give me sort of a reason for believing has to win this game. Home, Ducks, and you're just kind of destroying them, but you're down. And well before the Peterka goal for 2-1, they're all over them. It's just, come on, get there. And they do before it's too late. I mean, the Jokiharju goal is with plenty of time left.
Oh, yeah, there was a lot of time left. Yeah, it never even got to, desperation time. It was, I thought, when they made it 2-2, I thought they were going to win the game 5-2.
Yeah, there was 10 minutes
kind
to
of
go.
the way it was going. There was a lot of time left, and the Anaheim looked like they had absolutely been taking a punch right on the chin and were wobbling.
Tuck has a chance before his goal where Thompson and Tuck, they're on him, comes back down the ice, and then he scores. What was the second Anaheim goal? Were 4 of the 5 goals in this game scored from the goal line?
Just about, yeah.
The two last Sabre goals, and then you have the first one. I think both Anaheim goals were. What did you think of the goalie on those? Was he slow?
The second one for sure, I thought was
get over there.
Very tough. Yeah,
I'm feeling something.
He must have been. To me, an indication of you're late getting there is if when the play's over. I mean, I realize he knows the puck got through him, but he had to slide so fast that he ends up almost in the corner at the end of that play. And that just tells me he was late getting to his spot.
There was one of those with the goalie pulled, by the way. When Anaheim put the pressure on, right after they pulled the goalie, they put the pressure on, and he was way over here.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Well, the Anaheim goalie, while we're here, I mean, Dostal made some really great saves in that game, but holy cow, the winning goal, if he doesn't knock his own net up, I don't think that has room to go in. 4 goals in this game were if you're at Darien Lake or something, and you're just sort of shooting for targets, and you're trying to hit that one right on the postage stamp. Both the last Sabre goals and then kind of the Anaheim goals were from the same spot. Anyway, I'm a little bit interested. I feel like you referenced that run in 11. Maybe I'm gonna look through that season. I feel like I want to know we should know that number 24-3 or something 24-3 or 24-4 whatever it was. It was close to 30 games and they won 20 of them. It was a great run to make the playoffs that year.
Ending with one of the most special nights in the history of the building.
everybody who ever played for the team was invited back. I don't know that every single person came, but there were hundreds of alumni there.
Yeah, well, there were a lot. I mean, it was really great. 2011, they ended up 43-39. Right now, they're 24-32. I don't have time for the overtime losses.
Yeah, right.
That'll be what it is. So to get there, just for a starting point, is 19-7 the rest of the way. Isn't that kind of how we're talking?
Yeah.
And that was 96 points. Oof. So, again, it's not going to be perfect because of the overtime loss. They had 10 that year. I don't know. It might be too late. That's the problem. Like, it might be too late. But they look pretty good. And I want to say that maybe they are pretty good. Dahlin just never makes a bad play. I hope people appreciate him. That guy has been here only in losing years. I mean, just like Eichel, but he bailed. I mean, Dahlin has been the whole you ever hear him complain about it? I don't know. I've never met the guy. I don't know how he thinks. But he just never makes a bad decision with the puck, and I feel like we should appreciate that.
Yeah, I felt like most of the time early in the game and then in the third period again. The second period was kind of just So yeah, I give them credit for digging out of that and playing like they did in the first and the third. I felt like I don't want to say every time because lots of guys had good nights and good moments. But, man, I felt like every time Anaheim was on their heels in their own zone for like a minute and a half at the time, it was Dahlin and Byram just like doing circles around the zone. Just the two of them just running the show.
And Byram is just like kind of he's lucky to be out there for that, I think. But, yes. Different forward combinations, yes. Anybody who knows us knows how we feel right now. Like there's a tinge, right? There's a tinge of excitement, but we also don't want to sound like idiots,
right?
Or suckers, not idiots, but suckers. Like, oh wow, they're still in last in the East, and they have a third of the season left. And what are you telling me to buy in? I don't know. I don't want to be telling you that. I mean, they just haven't earned quite that level or that benefit of the doubt, but. They just danced on this team last night, and they've done that a few times in the last month. Enough times. It's just a question of if the hole is too big. And these other teams winning, how many of them are like Columbus? That's what's really going to hurt. It's not Boston right now. It's not the Rangers or even the Islanders. It's never the Flyers. It's not the Penguins. It's not the teams like sort of the Blue Bloods here that I think you're going to have to come over the top of. It's the Blue Jackets and the Red Wings and the Senators. These are, or even Montreal, perhaps, is like the team. It's those guys. It's not this time. It's like maybe the year the Dolphins won the AFC East in the Brady years with the Wildcat. Like that couldn't have been me. Brady misses the whole year with an ACL. I'm still 6-10 or whatever I am. Like that could. Oh, that's the year actually where the Bills start 4-0 with Edwards, and that falls apart. That couldn't have been me. So
yeah, the fact that it's a year where one of the big teams at the top of the division is sort of in an also-ran position, that's Boston, and you couldn't take advantage of that like Ottawa has. I mean, they're not in a spot today, but it's very close. Detroit has. They're in a spot as of today. Montreal's also not in the spot, but still, they're all ahead of you. And we've been waiting for years for one of those top teams. Like Florida, or for a while, it was Toronto, Tampa, Boston. Good luck getting a top 3 spot in the division, but just pray for a wild card. Now, then Florida's emerged, and they're just a wagon year over year now. They've sort of supplanted, taken Boston's spot there. So you still have the same problem. You got these 3 teams, at the top that are, look like they're going to be hard to catch, and the fact that Boston's down should have been an opportunity for you, but it's not. I mean, down, whatever. I mean, they're in the race. They're in better shape than you. But with that said, there's talk about them selling parts off because they're not used to this sort of. It's the trade deadline, and we're not comfortably coasting to a certain first round matchup against the 2 or the 3 in the division. Like that. That's been their life for the last I don't know. I feel like almost since the divisions got reconfigured.
Well, they should. And if you're one of the other teams, you want for a team like that that's won so much to accept their fate and feel like their fans will accept it because they know they're not a championship threat, and that maybe frees them up to do something like that. So that'd be good. The Sabres have their own questions when it comes to the deadline. Like, when is it? Next week?
Next Friday. So yeah, Zucker, Greenway. Like, what are we doing here? We'll talk to Kevin Adams on Friday. I know when we visited with him last month, I asked him about Zucker and Greenway, and it was vague enough, but I mean, he did talk about, I think it was more with Zucker, that like we've had some conversations. I've talked to the player, I've talked to his representatives, but nothing's happened yet that we know of. So,
may I invoke the Detroit Tigers for this point?
Go on.
May I invoke the Detroit Tigers, who had not been to the playoffs or had been good in forever, almost maybe like exactly the same year. And they got to the baseball trade deadline last year, and they dumped a couple guys like that, and they got hot. They made it anyway. They traded to Texas, I think it was, and Texas slumped. And just that's the story you want. That's the story you want. You want to make those shrewd deadline moves as a seller anyway, and then still win because you can score like crazy. I mean, the Sabres, we figured this out. I didn't know it until last night. But after talking with you and Paul, like, goals per game, they're ahead of the Leafs.
Right.
So give me a couple more saves and keep going. And you got to stay healthy and everything, but I don't know. I'd trade one of those guys, I think. Depending on am I getting something interesting or am I just doing it to do it? I'd want to get like a good pick out of it, probably, or a prospect. I think that's still how you have to be if you're the Sabres. You still have to be like that. You're not going to spend. We already know they're not going to spend top dollar, so you still have to be future minded. And if it's Jason Zucker or even Greenway, like, due respect, that's a move I make. I mean, maybe not both. I don't know how deep they are or they think they are, but that's something I would do.
I have almost no interest in doing that. Merely because it's not to say that it's not the smart thing to do. The list is so long of guys that they're already like, well, there's a mid-teens first-round pick. It's very promising. The pool of I know, like, Zucker and or Greenway are going to be free to leave for nothing, but I don't know.
They're not first-round picks, are they?
No. I don't think so.
It's a prospect.
I think 10 years ago, maybe, in a world where Paul Gaustad was a first-round pick, maybe, it would stun me if they were that attractive. And if it's anything but that, I don't know. Like, I don't want to just sit on guys for the wing and a prayer that you're going to win three out of these five and whatever. That you're going to get there. That you're going to approach 90 points here somehow. But I don't know. I'm also not looking forward to talking or hearing from Kevin Adams next Friday about the third-round pick they got for somebody. It's just great, golf clap. So this is better, like us even talking this out. I'm not telling you to buy in out there. I don't want to be a sucker. I don't want you to be a sucker. I guess the best way I could say it is they've got my attention. They've got my attention. And a couple of weeks ago, I don't think I would have told you that. A couple of weeks ago, I would have struggled to honestly tell you how I felt about them.
They still have to win 2/3 to 3/4 of their remaining games. And I'm not sure they're good enough to do that. That's what makes the math so tough. But, man, last night they were dominant. 6 out of 7, right?
Mm-hmm.